But before we move on to the discussion, I also spoke earlier with Mr. Adi Godrej, the chairman of Godrej Group and the president of CII, on the overall economic situation and particularly on the subject that we're discussing on the show today. Mr. Godrej, a quick word on the Parliament logjam and its impact on the economy.
Well, clearly, many of the reforms have to be passed in Parliament. And if Parliament does not work efficiently, clearly it will affect the reform process. I am disappointed. I do hope we are able to overcome this logjam.
But if we could now move forward and talk about the topic that we're discussing on We Mean Business today, can all natural resources be allocated? It's being debated, especially with the recent CAG reports on both 2G and Colgate, making this really as the basis for calculating the loss to the exchequer. The recent Supreme Court verdict and the government seeking a clarification in the presidential reference have also brought in to highlight this issue. What's your view really on this interesting debate?
Well, Shweta, the CII was asked by the Supreme Court to give its opinion on the presidential reference, which we have done. And I would like to summarize that in short. First, we have said that the preferential method of government selling resources, natural resources, should be auction. However, auction cannot be the only method. In many cases, it does not work out. In which case, the executive, that is the government, whether the central government or the state government, should work out alternate mechanisms of sale of natural resources, but these alternate methodology should be both transparent and fair. And the judiciary should come into the process only if transparency and fairness have been compromised. We think if we follow this methodology, then there would be much greater transparency and openness in resource allocation by the government.
All right, Mr. Godrej, now specifically talking about Colgate, that's obviously rocked Parliament of late. The BJP in particular is demanding deallocating all the coal blocks. But CII and you especially came out with a very strong statement to talk about the impact that that would really have on the economy. Do you still stand by your statement, given that now we've seen the CBI starting its probe, which has raised question marks on the manner in which these allocations happened?
Shweta, clearly due process must be followed. If somebody has violated the agreement under which allocation was made, then a notice should be sent and due process should be followed. You can't unilaterally cancel all allocations. They would be challenged in a court of law, and that would create even more chaos.
All right, Mr. Godrej, before we wrap up, just to quickly talk about the role of the CAG, which is also now being debated in a great deal. Do you think the CAG reports are creating a sort of fear within the industry as well as the bureaucracy? The industry worried about the lack of stability in policy, the bureaucracy now saying that there is a fear in terms of taking decisions, and they seem to be thinking twice before signing any files.
Well, the CAG is an audit body. An audit body should clearly report, as all audit bodies do, whether it is in corporates or governments, etc. And then the concerned executive, and in our case, in certain cases, the legislator, needs to discuss this, debate this, and take corrective action. Unfortunately, this is not being debated in Parliament. I feel it should be debated in Parliament, and it should be discussed within government, and corrective actions, if required, can be taken.
All right, Mr. Adi Godrej, many thanks for joining us and sharing your views. Let me take that discussion forward now to our panel, Mr. R.V. Kanoria.